From the outside, Predjama Castle in Slovenia is a picture of impossible strength and storybook grandeur. It's a fortress that's literally fused with a mountain. Millions of people have stood right here, marveling at its audacity, but very few know the secrets hidden inside its walls. Today, we're going beyond the velvet ropes. We're not just looking at castles. We're peeling back the layers of stone and time to uncover the hidden histories. They were built to protect. We'll crawl through tunnels used in year-long sieges, decode the whispers of prisoners left etched into the walls, and bring to light the forgotten stories of betrayal and survival that are inseparable from these ancient stones. Our journey begins where the public tour ends. Most castles are built on a hill. This one was built ***, a cliff of 123-meter high sheer rock face, to be precise, and for more than 800 years, that has made it nearly unconquerable. But in the 15th century, one rebellious knight, Arazem of Lug, would test the claim to its absolute limit. He found himself trapped in here, besieged by the armies of the Austrian emperor, with no way in and no way out, or so they thought. Because Arazem had a secret, a dark, winding passage carved not with tools, but by nature itself. Deep inside the mountain, this wasn't just a castle. It was a gateway to a hidden world, and it allowed him to mock his enemies for over a year. The story of how his rebellion ended, however, is one of the most shocking betrayals in medieval history. And it all happened because of a single cannonball and a moment of extreme vulnerability. To understand it, we have to go inside. When you enter Predjama, you immediately feel the cold of the mountain. The stone is damp. The air is heavy. This isn't the polished, palatial castle of fairy tales. This was a raw, functional fortress designed for one purpose: survival. The first castle here dates back to the 13th century. Built by Gothic architects who saw the defensive potential of this enormous cave mouth. But the structure we see today, this stunning Renaissance marvel, was largely rebuilt in 1570 after its predecessor was wiped out in an earthquake. It is dungeons, armories, living quarters, all the standard features. But its greatest feature isn't part of the architecture at all. We're moving away from the front of the castle now, deeper into the rock. The passages get narrower, and the finished stonework gives way to the raw, natural cave. This is where the man-made structure and the mountain become one. And it's here that the castle's most famous resident, Arazem of Lug, held his greatest advantage. In the 1480s, Arazem, a sort of local Robin Hood figure, got into a fatal argument at the Vienna court and killed a relative of the Holy Roman Emperor, Frederick III. He fled back here, to his family's seat, the supposedly impregnable Predjama. The emperor was furious and sent the governor of Trieste, Gaspar Ravber, to lay siege to the castle and starve Arazem out for a year and a day. The imperial army camped outside, waiting. They cut off all entrances. They controlled the only bridge. But Arazem seemed completely unbothered. In fact, he openly mocked them. Legend says he would catapult fresh cherries down at the soldiers just to show them. He had plenty of food. How was that possible? Well, the secret lies right through here. This is it. This is not a man-made tunnel. This is the entrance to a vast, natural network of caves that riddle this entire mountain. Arazem knew of a secret vertical shaft that led from the castle's cellars all the way out to the valley floor, miles away. While Ravber's army was watching the front gate, Arazem's men were sneaking in and out through the mountain itself, bringing food, water, and supplies. He wasn't trapped at all. He had a secret back door that was miles wide. The siege was a failure. The army was being humiliated, so they resorted to a different tactic: betrayal. They bribed one of Arazem's servants. The servant was told to signal them when Arazem was in a specific, vulnerable location. And what was that location? The latrine. The castle's toilet was located in an outcropping on the very edge of the fortress, one of its few weak points. When the servant lit a candle in the window, he signaled the cannoneers. A single stone cannonball was fired, and Arazem of Lug, the invincible robber baron, was killed in the most undignified way imaginable. A year-long siege, a brilliant defense enabled by a secret passage, all ended by treachery and a well-aimed cannonball. It's a brutal reminder that a castle's greatest weakness is often not in its walls, but in the people within them. But secret passages weren't just for smuggling cherries. Sometimes they were sketched and planned by the greatest minds of the Renaissance. For that, we need to travel to Milan. This is Sforza Castle in Milan, Italy. At first glance, it's the opposite of Predjama. It's a sprawling, stately ducal palace, a symbol of wealth and power. It was home to the Sforza dynasty, who ruled Milan in the 15th century, and for a time, it was also home to one of the greatest geniuses in human history, Leonardo da Vinci. We know Leonardo lent his genius to the Sforza court, painting some of the castle's rooms. But what has remained a legend for centuries is that Leonardo also documented something else, something hidden in his notebooks, specifically the small volume known as Codex Forster I. Leonardo made sketches and notes on secret, subterranean military passages beneath the castle. For 500 years, people wondered, were they real? Or just more of Leonardo's brilliant theoretical designs? Well, in an incredible development reported in early 2025, we got our answer. A team from the Polytechnic University of Milan used advanced ground-penetrating radar and laser scanners to peer beneath the earth of this very courtyard. And what they found was astonishing. They confirmed the existence of a complex network of tunnels, hidden just a few feet below the surface, matching the areas Leonardo had sketched. Right here, under our feet, the radar revealed voids and structures that align with Leonardo's drawings. But this wasn't just about military defense. One tunnel is believed to have had a much more personal, tragic purpose in 1497. Duke Ludovico's beloved wife, Beatrice d'Este, died in childbirth. The story goes that the grief-stricken duke used a secret passage to travel from the castle to the Basilica of Santa Maria del Grazie, where she was buried. He could mourn at her tomb in private, hidden from the world. The radar scans have given new life to this heartbreaking legend. The research team is now creating what they call a digital twin of the castle, a complete 3D model of everything above and below ground. This will allow us to virtually explore these hidden tunnels for the first time, to walk in the footsteps of a grieving duke, and to see the castle as Leonardo saw it. A place of intricate layers, both visible and invisible. It proves that even in the most well-known places, history still has profound secrets to reveal. And when it comes to secrets, few are more dramatic than those kept by the Vatican. This might just look like an old wall, but it's actually one of the most important corridors in European history. This is the Passetto di Borgo, an 800-meter-long elevated passage that connects the heart of Vatican City directly to the fortress of Castel Sant'Angelo on the banks of the Tiber River. Its purpose was simple and deadly serious. It was a papal escape route, built in 1277 by Pope Nicholas III. It was constructed right on top of even older 9th century defensive walls, and was designed to allow a pope to flee his own palaces to the safety of the heavily fortified castle in a time of crisis, and it was used the most. Famous escape happened during the sack of Rome in 1527. The armies of the Holy Roman Emperor Charles V descended on the city, breaching the walls and pouring into the Vatican, as the invaders massacred the Swiss guard on the steps of St. Peter's Basilica. Pope Clement VII and his entourage ran for their lives, scrambling down this very corridor to the safety of Castel Sant'Angelo. This narrow, hidden walkway saved the papacy. Walking beneath it today, you can almost feel the desperation of that moment. A pope fleeing for his life high above the streets where his city was being destroyed. It's a stark reminder that for centuries, even the grandest castles and palaces were, at their core, places of fear, where survival often depended on a secret path no one else knew. We've seen how secret passages were used for survival, for grief, and for desperate escapes. These hidden networks are a recurring theme in castles across the world. a testament to the ingenuity and paranoia of their builders. The stories we're uncovering today are just the tip of the iceberg. If you're fascinated by these forgotten histories and the way they are being brought to light by modern technology, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're always digging for new secrets, and you won't want to miss where our journey takes us next. Now, let's travel north to a castle in France whose secrets are not of escape, but of imprisonment. Welcome to the Château de Vincennes. This colossal keep, the tallest in Europe, was a favored royal residence for French kings in the 14th century, but its strength also made it the perfect prison. From the 15th century onwards, if you were a powerful enemy of the French state, this is where you disappeared. Vincennes became synonymous with asterisk letters décachées asterisk royal orders that could imprison someone indefinitely without trial. It was a place of absolute power and deep, dark secrets. This fortress housed some of history's most infamous prisoners. The future King Henry IV was held here. Nicolas Fouquet, Louis XIV's finance minister, was locked away here after being arrested by the real-life D'Artagnan. The philosopher Diderot was imprisoned here for his writings. But perhaps its most notorious inmate was the man whose very name would become a synonym for cruelty, the Marquis de Sade. He spent 7 years within these walls, from 1777 to 1784. Before being transferred to the Bastille, the conditions were grim, but the psychological torment was worse. This was the home of the oubliette, a French term that literally means the forgotten place. It was a pit, a dungeon within a dungeon, where prisoners were thrown to be erased from memory. While the most famous prisoners were held in the tower, the oubliette represents the true terror of Vincennes, the power not just to imprison a body, but to delete a life. The castle was also the site of royal tragedy. The three sons of King Philip IV, Louis X, Philip V, and Charles IV all died young and without male heirs, ending the direct Capetian dynasty. Coincidentally, all three died at the Château de Vincennes, fueling the legend of a curse placed on their family by Jacques de Molay, the last Grand Master of the Knights Templar, who was executed on their father's orders. Curses, prisoners, executions. The stones of Vincennes are soaked in the darkest moments of French history. It's a place that proves that sometimes the most shocking secret a castle holds is the simple, brutal truth of what happened inside it. But not all dark histories are about imprisonment. Sometimes they're about a mind retreating from reality, building a fantasy world of stone that would ultimately consume its creator. For that, we must go to Bavaria. This is Neuschwanstein, the ultimate fairy tale castle. It's the fantasy that launched 1,000 postcards, the inspiration for Disney's Sleeping Beauty castle. But behind this dreamlike facade lies a story not of fantasy, but of obsession, political intrigue, and profound loneliness. This wasn't a fortress. It was a private stage for a king who was losing his grip on reality. King Ludwig II of Bavaria was a dreamer, not a ruler. He hated politics and state ceremonies, preferring the mythical worlds of Richard Wagner's operas. Ascending to the throne in 1864, he quickly began to withdraw from his duties, channeling the kingdom's finances and his own immense passion into building fantasy castles. Neuschwanstein, which began construction in 1869, was to be his masterpiece, a romanticized vision of a medieval knight's castle, a monument to the legends of Lohengrin, the Swan Knight. We are now in the throne room. It's a symphony of gold, lapis lazuli, and intricate murals, all designed to feel like a sacred space. A massive chandelier hangs like a crown from a dome painted with stars. The entire room is designed to sanctify the idea of monarchy, presenting the king as a mediator between God and the world. But look closely. Here, in the grand apse where an altar might be, there is a raised platform. Everything in the room points to this spot. This is where the throne was meant to be. But it's empty. A throne was fully designed, but it was never built. Ludwig died in 1886 before the castle was finished, and the heart of his dream world remains incomplete. This empty space is perhaps the most powerful symbol and the entire castle. It speaks to a kingship that was only ever an idea, a power that was never truly wielded. This room was never intended for audiences. It was a private chapel to an idealized form of monarchy that no longer existed in the 19th century. Ludwig's obsession with his fantasy worlds alarmed his government. In 1886, they declared him mentally unfit to rule. He was arrested at Neuschwanstein and taken to Burg Palace. Just one day later, he and his psychiatrist were found dead in the shallow waters of Lake Starnberg. The death was officially ruled a suicide by drowning, but the circumstances have remained a source of intense speculation ever since. Was it suicide, an accident, or was the inconvenient king murdered to prevent any chance of him reclaiming the throne? We will likely never know. Neuschwanstein is his legacy, a castle with no defensive purpose, with a throne room that has no throne. It is the secret history of a lonely king, a man who built a world of fantasy to escape a reality he couldn't bear, leaving behind the beautiful, tragic, and unfinished dream. From the fantasies of a king to the brutal realities of war, our final dark history takes us to the misty shores of Scotland's most famous loch. The haunting ruins of Urquhart Castle, sitting on the shores of Loch Ness, are an icon of the Scottish Highlands. But this castle's history is anything but peaceful. For centuries, this strategic spot made it the center of a violent tug-of-war for control of Scotland. Its story is written in blood and rubble. The site's history is ancient. It's possible that an early Pictish fort stood here, as evidenced by artifacts found on site. In fact, one of the first written accounts of the Loch Ness Monster comes from a 7th century biography of Saint Columba. The legend says he encountered the beast near here in the 6th century, around the year 580 AD, during the Pictish era. But the stone castle we see the ruins of today truly enters history. During the Wars of Scottish Independence in 1296, it was captured by the formidable King Edward I of England, the Hammer of the Scots. A year later, it was besieged by the Scottish patriot Andrew Murray in a daring night attack. In 1303, Edward I took it back, and after the defenders finally surrendered from hunger, he had them all executed. In 1306, Robert the Bruce captured it for the Scots and ruthlessly killed the English garrison in turn. And that was just the beginning. Throughout the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries, the castle was a royal fortress constantly besieged, captured, and recaptured by rival clans, most notably the MacDonalds, the powerful lords of the Isles, who raided it repeatedly. This wasn't a home. It was a permanent battleground. The walls we see today, some 8 to 10 feet thick, are a testament to the constant violence they had to withstand. The castle's end was as violent as its life in 1692, during the Jacobite risings. Government troops garrisoning the castle decided to abandon it, but to prevent it from ever being used by their enemies again, they packed the gatehouse with gunpowder and blew it up. After that, Urquhart was left to ruin, its stones plundered by locals for their own buildings. The dark secret of Urquhart is that it was a place of perpetual warfare. Its hidden history isn't found in a secret passage, but in the very soil, soaked with the blood of centuries of conflict. For centuries, the secrets of these castles have been sealed away, becoming the stuff of legend. But today, incredible new technologies and patient archaeological work are peeling back the stone and soil, revealing truths that are often stranger than fiction. And one of the most exciting recent discoveries has taken us to western Ukraine. This is Galician Castle, a fortress with roots in the 12th century. Like Urquhart, it saw centuries of conflict. In 1676, during the Turkish-Polish War, the castle was bombarded by Ottoman cannons, and one of its defensive towers collapsed, burying a section of the fortress in rubble. And there it lay, forgotten, for nearly 350 years. Then, in 2023, archaeologists investigating the ruins noticed something odd, a small, narrow ventilation shaft. It hinted at something below. For the next year, working entirely by hand to preserve the site's integrity, They painstakingly removed over 150 cubic meters of soil and rubble. In May of 2025, they finally broke through. They had uncovered a hidden chamber, sealed since the 17th century. Inside, the walls were still blackened with soot. Researchers believe this was a casemate of fortified gun position. The ventilation shaft they first spotted was likely there to let the thick smoke from cannon fire escape. It's an incredible, pristine snapshot of medieval military life, frozen in time by the explosion that buried it. But the discovery gets even more tantalizing. In one of the chamber's walls, they found a small gap. This small opening has given new life to local legends that have spoken for centuries of a network of secret underground tunnels beneath the castle. One romantic tale tells of a nobleman's daughter who used these tunnels to escape with her lover and flee to safety. For now, it's just a gap in a wall, but archaeologists are hopeful. This discovery is a powerful reminder that history is not a closed book. It's an active investigation, and there are still so many secrets waiting just beneath the surface to be found. We end our journey here at perhaps the most famous castle in the world, Bran Castle in Transylvania. For over a century, its name has been linked with a history that never happened. With the fictional tale of Bram Stoker as Dracula, tourists come here seeking vampires and dark legends. But the real hidden history of Bran Castle is far more compelling. This castle's most important story isn't about a fictional count, but a real queen. After World War I, the people of Bracov gifted the castle to Queen Marie of Romania. A beloved and formidable figure, she fell in love with its rugged charm and, with the help of architect Carol Lyman, transformed the medieval fortress into her favorite royal summer residence. And like so many other castles, she discovered it had secrets. During renovations around 1920, workers found a hidden passage, its entrance concealed behind a fake fireplace. The narrow stone staircase connects the first floor directly to the third, likely serving as an emergency escape route for castle officers centuries earlier. But Queen Marie created a new secret passage of her own. In the 17th century, a 7-meter cistern in the courtyard had been deepened into a 59-meter well. By the 20th century, it was no longer in use, so in 1937, the ever-practical queen had the well shaft repurposed. She had an electric elevator installed, which connected via a horizontal tunnel to the royal park she had cultivated in the valley below. It was a modern secret passage, allowing the aging queen, who suffered from arthritis, to move easily between her castle home and her beloved gardens. Today, visitors can ride a modern lift through that same shaft, a time tunnel that tells the story of the castle's many lives. So what do we take away from all of this? That these castles, Prejama, Sforza, Vincennes, Neuschwanstein, Urquhart, and here at Bran are not just stone and mortar. They are not static monuments. They are living history books, filled with hidden chapters, secret footnotes, and stories of human beings who loved, fought, grieved, and survived within them. From passages built for escape to chambers sealed by war. Their secrets remind us that the past is never truly dead. You just have to know where to look. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep exploring.